Hello and welcome. This is All Minus One, and my name is Bill. Thanks for joining the show today, folks. This is about Jack Murphy, and I talked about Jack Murphy on Sunday, and he, in my mind at the time, needed to do some public repentance, and I was trying to be quite charitable to him, and I'm going to try and be fair and charitable to him, despite how I titled this video. But the reality is that um, as the scandal that he has imbibed himself in has continued, I have come across more information that basically the guy, as far as his public conservative manosphere uh, rise, has been telling lies. And so Jack is being defended by like Tim Pool, who is a friend of his. He's on there often. And Jack seems like a perfectly very nice gentleman in person 90% of the time, except for the one time he went off on Sydney Watson because of his shame. And I think that's what this comes down to. And he should have addressed this head on a long time ago. But the thing is that he was doing manosphere conservative type work while he was still on Shatterbait in 2019 doing pornography. Again, I'm going to sit here and say that's not the thing that bothers me so much. It's not a good look. I don't think pornography is good for anybody. Now, I'm not going to chide people for necessarily watching it or having addictions to it or having, issues. But the reality is that putting yourself out there, especially you and your wife and your loved one and whatever else, is not really protecting your family, and it's not very really masculine either. And you could say, well, but Bill, he's trying to provide for his family. Well, it seemed like Jack had a lot of other income going on, and he went on to explain that, well, he was in a dark place, he had to do this at the time. There are clips and videos and whatever else about it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through some of the history. We're going to play some clips. One of them, particularly, is from the president of 21 Studios and 21 Convention. Now, I like their stuff. I don't watch them that often, but I am a sub to them, as I'm sub to many different men groups. But I tend to watch more news and whatever else. But we're going to watch this whole 15-minute video. I'll do some obviously commentary in between. We'll talk about it. We're going to watch a few other interviews and a few videos that are going to lay out the full case in case you aren't aware of what's going on. And I would wager that most of you haven't seen this coverage, because what you're probably watching is like the quartering or other larger channels talk about it, like Jeremy over on D-Day Cobra of Geeks and Gamers. And Jeremy's been going more or less on the Tim Pool thing. Why isn't Tim addressing this? Well, Tim sort of did with Fresh and Fit the other week. And he basically was like, well, he's done with that. He rejects it. Now he's fighting for freedom. Okay, sure. But is he? Is Jack really fighting for freedom, or is he fighting to be rich? Now, I make no illusions here on this channel. No matter how big I get, I'm not here to be like some famous person or wealthy or anything like that. I am simply here to complain. I'm simply here to express my opinions, and to basically detail what I see going on in our world. And hopefully I can gain some allies and we can build a better community and a better world by what I'm doing. So the benefit to me is a better society. Perhaps along the way, I can gain some financial benefit for my family. Like I'm overt about that. I always have been. In fact, I'll do it right now. There is an entropy in the description. You can go there if you want to leave me a super chat. You can go over to PayPal. You can do those things if you feel like donating. And there are many people who watch here who have never donated at all. And that is perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. I don't put out this material behind a paywall, right? I do it because I have a passion and a need to do it, an inner drive, an intrinsic drive, right? And I want to affect some sort of change, even if it's only very small, with a very small community that I build. Jack seemed to want to do something good, but what he was really doing was making a lot of money for himself and building his own ego up. That seems to be the case. And again, if Jack comes out and he apologizes and he is open about all this and he's, like, I learned my lesson, yada yada yada, I will grant him forgiveness because God demands that. But Jack's not doing that now, is he? He's hiding, he's blocking people, he's making accusations that are untrue, all kinds of things. So, anyways, Dahari says redemption of self-interest. Yes. Rollo did. I don't watch Rollo very often, although I do, know him. I've read The Rational Male some years ago. Um, well after I learned game though, so it was nothing new to me. But yeah, and Rollo seems like an interesting dude, and he's one of those guys who's been in the 21st Studios. Him, like Elliot Hulse. Of course, you guys know I've met Elliot in person. Not that we're besties or anything. Had him on the Ants Justify the Memes. I'll probably, not sure if I will, but I don't know if I'm going to go train at Full Spectrum Warrior this year just because of finances. But I probably will be. I shouldn't say that. The Full Spectrum Warrior, the training I went to last year, the big Protector Summit, I don't know if I'll go to, but I do plan on going to other trainings down there this year. But right now, just finances are tight and whatever else, trying to build some money up with this new job I have. In any case, but I'll probably run into Elliot again down there because he trains down there. He actually moved to the area, from what I understand. But these guys are they're trying to build other men up. Now, does Elliot have a grift himself? Of course. Elliot is a great businessman. He's quite wealthy as far as I understand, and has a lot of programs for men. But does it help men out? Sure. Was Elliot doing porn in the past? I don't think so. As far as I know, he's been with the same woman since he was in high school. So, there's differences here, right? And it's like I said before, Jack is trying to figure things out, seemingly, which is okay by me. But while he was trying to figure things out, he was doing shady things on the side, on the down low, that he didn't want anyone to know about. And then when people asked him about it, he freaked out. That's not good behavior. It's not a good sign. And it is what it is. So let's get into some content here. Let me get a screen share up. That might be a good idea. So I have a bunch of videos, guys, and we will go through them. And I do plan on taking my time with this, so we might be here for 2 hours or more today. It might take me less time, but we'll see how it goes. So this is a official document from the State of the Manosphere Presidential Address. This is a statement by Anthony Dream Johnson, the first president of the Manosphere. Now you might find that cringe or whatever. Whatever. This is how they're going about these things. So either way, maybe it's a little facetious, maybe it's self-aware. Who knows? What I do know is the statement is quite clear about who Jack is. On December 22nd, 2021, I published a controversial video on the 21 Studios YouTube channel of over 350,000 subscribers, detailing a series of events surrounding former 21 convention speaker and author John Goldman, aka Jack Murphy. In this video, the video we will watch here in a moment, I commented on various newsworthy events surrounding the disturbing public and private conduct of John Goldman, as well as his speaking history with the 21 convention in 2018 and 2019. I denounce John's actions and totally and absolutely make it clear that he had no current association with 21 Studios or the 21 convention, and had not in a very long time. Since the publication of this video on December 22nd, additional fact-based revelations have been made about the private conduct of John Goldman that were even more extreme and shocking than those covered in my initial video, denouncing him and declaring John a total embarrassment both to himself and the manosphere he was once part of. Hold on, guys. Yeah. That's a little too big. So, okay, yeah. Since the publication of this video on December 22nd, additional fact-based revelations have been made about the private conduct of John Goldman that were more extreme and shocking than those covered in my initial video denouncing him and declaring John a total embarrassment both to himself and the manosphere he was once a part of and everyone around him. Amazingly, his public conduct in recent days matches the absurdity, hypocrisy, and depravity of his private conduct. Yeah, it seems to. Seems to. And again, I want to be really nice and forgiving to Jack and whatever else, because that's the kind of person that I just am in general. But I'm going to show you, he's lied. He straight lied from the beginning about who he is and his character. This is telling. When people start off like this with you and who they are and their background, you really, really, really got to take pause with them. Hi, Samuel. You're late again? Yeah, don't worry. I mean, I'm late. I was going to start today at 4 like I normally do, but I slept in late because, I'd been dealing with the coof. And although I feel perfectly fine now, I didn't get a lot of sleep this week with it per se, or I needed more rest. So, I went to sleep on the couch. So I wouldn't get woken by the wife or the baby in bed. And then I got up, I don't know, around 9. I came up here and up to the bedroom and kind of took care of my daughter as my wife got ready. And then I fell back asleep and I had an alarm set for like noon and I slept till like 2. So, but apparently I needed it. And I feel pretty good, really good today. Almost nothing going on with me except for a mild runny nose. Anyways, let's see. Where was I here? Amazingly, his public conduct. Yeah, I read that. Conduct which includes, but is not limited to, frequent self-initiated cuckolding, boasting about urinating on his now wife to be, and extensive hetero-flexible for sale pornography on the publicly available website Chatterbait that features anal stimulation of both oral and peripheral methods. This list is not exhaustive, and evidence of this activity is now widely available on social media, in addition to being reported in the news. These were dark secrets John Goldman kept hidden from everyone over many years for his own personal gain. Yeah, exactly. So this is 7 pages. I'm not going to read all 7 pages. You can see, up here, it's from 21 Studios, and you can look this up, Google it, whatever you want to read the whole thing. What I'm going to do instead is play the video. Dahari said, "Yeah, your body needed it." Yeah, apparently. I was just like, I was like, well, I asked my wife. I set an alarm. I said, "Why'd you let me sleep till 2?" She's like, I'm not the one who's responsible for waking you up. And I'm like, that wasn't the point I was making. Come on. I was just saying, like, she was working and taking care of my daughter all day, and I didn't expect that of her, but is what it is. Sorry, guys. I might cough a little bit more than usual too, than my own occasional smoker's hack. Because again, getting over the coofs, all that, like the little bit of mucus membranes or whatever kind of flushing out now. It's that whole, end of the sickness thing. Once you feel better, it's all the annoying stuff. So let's play this video real quick, and I'll be pausing a lot of it. But again, you can find this on YouTube, but I just ripped it for the sake of quality, and hopefully it won't get an echo for you guys through my mic. So I'm going to turn down my mic my volume a good bit, so I can still hear it. But hopefully there won't be an echo. You guys let me know.
21 Convention and political commentator, author Jack Murphy aka Cuck Murphy, has been exposed as a literal cuck, not a derogatory cuck, like we'd use in the manosphere or in politics, a conservative cuck, shit like that. He's a literal cuck, and he was exposed for that, for writing an article on it on his blog several years ago, I think 2018. And it's not just what he did that's been so bad. It's that the way he handled a response to it, being questioned about it on a public podcast on The Blaze.
Would you please clear up the cuck article you wrote?
I am not going to talk about
Again?
this.
Okay.
And basically, you know what? F you for
Me.
bringing this up right here and right now.
Me.
Why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. F you.
Elizabeth.
Heartfelt.
So Jack Murphy is the author of Democrats Are Deplorable. It's a book that came out several years ago about the Democrats, I think 9 million, that switched from voting for Obama to Donald Trump in 2016. He was a speaker in 2018 and 2019 at the 21 Convention and then 21 Convention Patriarch Edition. Those two events were about, 7 months apart, because it was late 2018 and early 2019 in the spring.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. You have quite a story there that I think is going to wake a few people up and alert them to the realities of what's going on in society right now.
He did not disclose before he spoke in the 2018 event or 2019 that he was into cucking, had a cuck fetish, and had written about it publicly on his blog at the time. Jack actually blocked me a few months ago on my Twitter when I brought up the cucking, what is now blown.
Quality of sound. What does that mean, Dahari? I'm not saying Anthony isn't a crazy person. I don't know anything about him either. What I'm saying is that, or why I'm showing this video though, and all this is because there is a history of this kind of behavior. I believe they've disassociated. Again, I'm not in the manosphere per se. I follow stuff and I don't watch it all the time. So yeah. The painted fingernail should have been a warning sign. Absolutely. I know that was really weird, right? The black fingernails.
Up in his face on a much larger scale in political circles and stuff like that. I mean, this is someone I know in real life. This is someone who spoke at 21 Convention. I met him a couple times. I have his personal cell phone. He spoke at my event. I mean, it is what it is. Bought him flights, hotels, stuff like that. And to me, the minute anyone...
Yeah, I got you, Dahari. I didn't see your comment above that where it said the sound is good. So above Thanes there. So I got you. But thank you for letting me know.
Blocks you on social media that you know in real life, this is like a major move. You have to have a really, really good reason to do that. And me bringing up the cucking, just not even too rudely or anything, just kind of brought it up. He just lost his shit and immediately blocked me.
So what he's saying is that he brought this up to Jack and he blocked him, and then this is a perfect time to freeze frame a tweet. So, and this is a big reason why I use this too, because this guy has a lot of tweets and all that. Now I can go through and get tweet receipts, right? It takes a long time. I was planning on doing that, maybe finding some more today than I already have. But this makes it a little bit more convenient, and I can go to some articles, which I'm going to talk about here in a bit. But it says part of masculinity is establishing boundaries and protecting them, barriers, walls, limits. Keep the barbarians and transgressors away. Protect yourself and your clan. Anyone who tells you differently wants you to be weak. Well, I don't totally disagree, Jack. You do need boundaries. It's something I learned in my life because I didn't grow up. I grew up in a family that kind of had issues with boundaries. A lot of people do. And because of that, it affected my adult relationships. It's the bottom line. My romantic relationships, I had to go through a period of training through basically not any sort of organized manner, but of training, in that I was being in these bad relationships and saying, oh, this is this isn't good. I need to do something else. I need to focus on something else. And eventually that training of these are bad relationships because I don't have any boundaries. I'm letting my boundaries be pushed. That eventually, led to me changing my life in part. Now, the biggest thing for me was my full on, religious experience. But what I'm saying is that that those things changed my perspective, because after being hurt so many times because of my own faults, now the women did the horrible things, but I allowed it because I didn't lead properly. I didn't set the boundaries properly. I didn't do all kinds of things. So I would agree with Jack on this point. But the kind of boundaries that he's talking about are anything and anytime someone criticizes you, and criticism is important in life for growth. And this isn't the same thing, right? This is just to protect your ego. Protecting your ego and your boundaries. Like, I'm uncomfortable, let's say, having an open relationship with my wife, right? Not going to be a thing. And therefore, if she were to come to me and say, hey, this is what I would want to do, I'd be like, no. And why do you want to do this? And blah, 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 blah. And well, if this is the case, then I suppose our relationship might be over. Not that I would want to get a divorce or anything like that, but like, it would just flat out have to be no, right? Where many other guys will cede that boundary to the woman and say, well, I love her and blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, dude, I've been there. I've been there when I was a young man. A lot of young men have been there. If you look into the game side of things, right? The pickup artist side of things, you'll see that's where a lot of guys come from. A lot of this is because of our broken society. A lot of this is because men don't have good father figures or role models. Now, my father was in my life, but he didn't teach me a lot about relationships or anything like that. So, and you know, I have a pretty good relationship with my father now, but I had a contentious one when I was younger, and that's a shame. I don't think that you want that. You know, and ideally, and I've talked about it many times, you want to raise your young boys to know how to interact with women, not to be players, but to be masculine and have their proper boundaries. So, anyways, let's keep moving. Samuel says if she wants that, then the door is open. Well, yeah. Well, and you know, not that how do I want to phrase this? Sorry, I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this, because I don't want it to come off too poorly. But basically, anytime there is a conflict between you and your significant other, if you're married, it gets complicated, right? But you need to proclaim that I am here, I'm committed to this. But if you are not, you are free to leave. And if you're married, and especially if you're a Christian, I believe that you should remain committed. But you know, that's another thing. But regardless, you need to state where you are at in the relationship. But you need to say, this isn't acceptable to me, and yeah, you can't go out the door. Anyways, seems like he rejects some criticism. Yeah.
Now on a block rampage. He's been blocking like literally everyone he can find on Twitter. Anybody who mentions this gets instant blocked. Doesn't matter if you know him or not. I think he's basically trying to run cover for his fans, and so that, you know, as few as possible of them find out about it. It's a PR disaster at this point, and he's just doing damage control.
Mr. Jack Murphy has been busy blocking everybody. He has since disabled all of the replies on his Twitter feed, which is, of course, the thing a man would do. Certainly one of the things about being a good human, this is being a man or a woman, is taking accountability when you mess up. And Jack Murphy didn't apologize until I was endlessly railing him online.
So you guys understand why I'm using this video now, because he has clips with Jeremy and whatever else. This makes it a lot more convenient. So we're hearing what Jeremy has to say, and this is true. He accused Jeremy of being a posting revenge porn and a sexual sexual predator. In fact, let me I can pull that up. I got that receipt. Had this last night in our show, and my fiance and I are victims of a revenge porn scandal by a sexual predator, the quartering at a close associate of Cindy Watson and Eliza Schaefer and others at The Blaze. I hate bringing attention to this, but this is sexual violence plus beyond the pale. Glenn Beck, what say you? So he's addressing Glenn Beck to then get them, of course, fired. And that didn't quite work out. And what ended up happening then is Jack ended up admitting that wasn't the case. So, and I got that in another folder. So I might have to search
he
for
then
that.
decided to
So we'll let this play. I'll see if I can find that.
block me and claim that I am a drama merchant.
But how can you be this guy that says I'm masculine, I'm strong, and also F you for bringing up my past, and I don't want to talk about that, and you're going to charge people money for this stuff? I'm sorry. I'm just not feeling it.
Shout out to The Quartering and Better Bachelor for actually covering this. The Quartering in particular is a huge platform to do an exposed video about this, so good on him.
As far as Manosphere channels go, again, I don't watch a lot, but Better Bachelor is a rather good channel, and he did a rather good take on this.
He's also been awesome on Twitter going after this. Undead Chronic's been doing some great roasts too. Shout out to him, Undead Chronic and Ribby the Party Frog. And I'm happy to see Joker, Better Bachelor, calling out a Manosphere grifter now, like Jack Murphy, Cuck Murphy. I do wish Better Bachelor would be more aggressive in calling out the frauds. There's a shit ton in the Manosphere. We got the Three Stooges. We got Simpson Hood, Shart Albert, Donovan Shart. We got, we got the Fraud Father here. I mean, there's a lot of frauds to call out, Joker, but I appreciate you hopping in on this one. And maybe we'll see more of that in the future,
I wrote a lot about dominance and submission in a totally sexual context, in that most women find, I think, and in my experience.
No, that is what's her name? Is it Eva Longoria? Some is that right? I don't know. I know she's a porn star, and I think she does YouTube now. I don't know if she does porn anymore. So Jack had her on. Now, understandably, I mean, I don't have any problem with that. Again, you can, if she's out of it, and now, there's a lot of porn stars that get out and then start making content about the industry is not that good for us. So, because it takes basically someone who's a sexual deviant to be a porn star. I mean, you're going to have sex in front of people with all kinds of random people all the time. It's not, it sounds great if you seek pleasure, but it's not, it's like men going out and sleeping with a bunch of women. Now, there are a few men that will satisfy them their entire lives. I can tell you right now, it is boring and tedious over a period of time. The only thrill that I really got was the initial kind of hunt, if you would. And, I'm just being open about it. This is how I was at a point in my life. I was a broken man. I fully admit it. God and Christ is what saved me. But I'm not going to deny my past. And that's the problem I'm having with Jack right now. And he lies.
But maybe I'm just like a magnet for it, that they enjoy being submissive to the right man. It's not about being submissive to men.
This is the cucking article that's got him in so much trouble lately. Although I want to reiterate again that it's not only what he wrote and what he did, it's the way that he's handled it. It's called like the Streisand effect. He basically failed a massive, let's say, public or PR political test, and his inability to handle this. It exposed who he really is behind the facade of being, pro-masculinity, pro-alpha male, pro-conservative commentator. No, it's bullshit, because that's what's behind the facade. A lot of your YouTube heroes and your podcast heroes and real life guys, I'm sorry to say, are just huge pussies. They're not masculine, they're not men, they're not alpha males. They're beta bitches LARPing on the internet behind a camera, behind a computer screen to fool you and to steal money from you and to sucker you out of money.
Well, this whole thing of calling yourself an alpha and a beta, I mean, I use the terminology every now and again, but whatever. I don't think most real alpha males go around saying I'm alpha. They just exude the confidence and whatever else. But I do get trying to coach men who are kind of weak in spirit because of the society and what we've done to men, and guys trying to be like, no, this is more of a behavior to emulate. But for me, it's just embrace the idea of being a leader and a protector and a builder of things, a creator, someone who establishes society and would die for those you love. To me, that's part of being a man and being a good man. And the other side of this is that you know, you have to be weak, because all the people that are always going on about alpha, 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 they never want to show weakness. That's a bigger weakness than having flaws. It really is. You should embrace your strengths, of course, but you should also embrace your faults. Your faults are very important to embrace and to let out there, um, because hiding them just is a way for people to then find your little kinks in the armor and get at them, start to pick at them, and these things happen. So you might as well just be open about who you are and the reality of what you are. And you know what? If Jack would have come out and been like, "Yeah, I'm a conservative in the beginning," and all this other stuff, he might have been fine. The reality is, though, too, these articles might not be true. Jack might be talking trash and trying to get notoriety by writing spicy things. That's the thing here. I don't know. We don't know. What we do know is he certainly was on Chatterbait with some disgusting behavior.
To get you to put your hand on your credit card and give them money. It's sick, it's pathetic, and it's a systemic problem, not only in the manosphere, but in conservative politics and even beyond that in the world. By the way, this has been removed from his blog, I guess, for a while now. And this is a backup of it that I have. He also actually had it removed from the Wayback Machine just recently. Somehow Jack, paid or went into Wayback Machine to actually pull these articles from their historical.
Yeah, and it's very hard to find that original article right now. I looked around for it the other week. I have a copy of it, but it's a reprint on another website. And I don't know how Jack got away with this, except for, I guess, he's got a buttload of cash to do things, or he has the right connections or lawyers or whatever. It's quite strange to me. But we'll talk about some other things Jack wrote in the past here in a minute.
Presence on Wayback Machine. So right from the beginning, October 9th, 2015 by Jack Murphy. Today I sent my adoring, loyal, hot young girlfriend of 2 years to have sex with a stranger from Tinder. She is currently at his apartment, checked in with me via text, and is presumably sucking and fucking her way to a good time. I'm alone writing. Couldn't be happier. It just gets worse from there, guys. I mean, this is like tend to promote positive masculinity.
The big D energy. This is another one. I mean, it's fun to joke about, maybe, but I don't know. People saying this seriously, kind of question.
Being an alpha male or red pill mindsets, all that shit. This is like, I think, literally as far as you can get from being an alpha male. I can't think of anything more beta or more gamma or whatever you want to call it than literally sending your woman to be inseminated by another man. This is not even like swinger stuff or open relationship, right? He's actually sending her intentionally to get by a dude off Tinder. And then he's just going to sit home and I guess write about it and jerk off or something.
Don't be afraid if you don't bond with your kids right away. If as a father, that kid comes out and you look at it, don't be alarmed if you're not met with overwhelming joy or a deep, immutable connection.
You see, Murphy was just, or Goldstein, I should say, Jack was bragging about how he was teaching his son about sports, about politics, about game. Jack, did you teach your son about how you hoard out his mother? Did you teach your son about how it turned you on to watch his mother with different...
Okay, so I don't believe that this was his son's mother. Obviously, Jack was divorced. We're going to get to an interview in a minute with Jack. He divorced from his ex-wife in 2008, I believe. This stuff that came out, his writing of Democrat to Deplorable and all that, his rise to fame, was in 2018. Here's Democrat to Deplorable. Now, this is really what got Jack kind of famous in the right-wing spheres, if you would, or the liberty-minded spheres. And I'll show you one of the earlier interviews he did with that he talks about his doxing, and he completely fabricates a story around it.
And
So midway through the article, he says, "I've had sex slaves, little girls, and tied them all up." I don't know what the f going on.
So, what's his name here? He sitting here talking about little girls or whatever. What's his name? Anthony. I think he just means petite women or young, like 18, 19, 20. And you could say that's morally questionable. Whatever. I dated some girls that age, mostly 22 to 26-year-olds when I was in my early 30s. On occasion, a girl younger. But the bottom line is that the the wording here, I don't think is good for Jack, but I don't think it means actual little girls. So again, I'm going to be charitable to him when I can be,
There, that's some like super sketch shit. He needs to clear that up immediately, but I don't think he has the balls to do it, or the maturity, or the stability. And I watched them have sex, or we've brought a guy
So here he's talking about how he had literally watched his ex have sex with somebody
from Craigslist over. Bad enough that he's doing this, right? It's bad enough how he's handled it, like a little bitch, to the extreme. But then he's like, picking up random dudes with this chick at the bar and watching them. He's actually sitting there, it looks like, in real life, watching them, his girlfriend.
So what is this? Red Hen matches with them on Tinder. I help with the text game. It's too easy. Well, it sounds like that that's her getting with other guys, but that could be the reverse. That could be Jack getting with other girls. I don't know. But it is evidence in his tweets. It's from 2016, though. Again, before he kind of really came to prominence in 2018 with his book and some connections he had in DC, right? And again, we'll get into that.
Watching them, his girlfriend. This isn't even like where he sends her out, like at the beginning of the article, right? This is him sitting here at home watching them or taking pictures of her getting f***ed. The time she spends with the other guy isn't really hers alone. It's ours. It's mine. It's her acting out my ideas. No, it's not ours and it's not yours. It's definitely her just getting f***ed by a random guy off Tinder. You're delusional. This is copium. This is copium times a million. Like, this is unbelievable. You wrote this, man. Jack goes on. It is not incongruent with our dominant submissive relationship, as crazy as that may sound to some. Yeah, it actually does sound crazy, Jack. There's nothing submissive about her getting f***ed by another man, right? This is like the...
Well, I'll say this. Back in the day, there was the movie Deep Throat by Linda Lovelace, I believe was her name, was in that. And her whole crusade afterwards, after she got out of pornography, was anti-porn. And according to her, it was her husband sending her into the porn industry and sleeping with other men for his own financial gains. And if she didn't, he beat her. So you guys tell me how masculine or alpha that is. The guy was self-interested. And I'm not sure what Jack was trying to get from all this. And did his girlfriend ask to sleep with other men? It seems like a really, really weird thing, right? To be, hey, baby, I want you to go sleep with this other guy. It'd just be great. It'd just help with our sexual energies to know that you got screwed. And, and I've dealt with infidelity in a few relationships. I've been unfaithful in a few relationships in the past. So, it's not fun. It's not good. I know the first time I was unfaithful to somebody, it was well after I was married. Although technically you could say, because I was separated and divorced for a while. So I will throw out that I could, even though I was separated, I was still technically married. So, adulterous, sure, in that manner, but never while we were together. But again, it's my past. Dark place, very different person today than I was then, different beliefs, all kinds of stuff. But in any case, yeah, it just doesn't seem, none of this just seems congruent with, being alpha and whatever else, or uh, being a leader in your relationship, basically fortifying your relationship. Like, why would you want to introduce other people? And you could say, well, she has better sex with me and da 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 da. That's not the point. Sex on a biological level creates pair bonding. Oxytocin is released, that pleasure you get from each other. People who sleep together will, even if they're trying to just, not be romantic and just have a good old time, will end up becoming romantic. It happens all the time. And I know in our society, it's cool to, have, friends with benefits and all that stuff, but that's never really a thing that works out. Right? I mean, even Bill and Melinda Gates got divorced and they started off that way.
Opposite of being an alpha male, this is being a beta male and is rationalizing it on steroids. Like, it's unbelievable. You wrote this.
Nice, Spook.
Here's what he says next. Check this out. What I'm talking about is advanced stuff, guys. Apex level. He's promoting cucking, literal sit in the closet or take pictures of the in front of your face, as apex level masculinity, apex level game, apex level red pill. It's hard to imagine how much further from the mark you could get on this. This is insane. Totally insane. So now he goes into tips for actually how to be a cuck. Tip 1, it must always be your idea.
All right, let's see. There's probably some other stuff in here that I wanted to get to, but if not, we'll just jump ahead. Here's a little.
And in the closet.
If you're friends with a guy, someone will be like, "What are you guys, gay?"
Yeah.
And that has been weaponized homophobia, is what I call it.
I've never had that asked or said of me by anyone except for stupid women. Literally. Stupid women who are feminists. And I kind of would agree with Jack's point here, but it's Anthony may be using this out of context. We'll put it that way. But I think what people are questioning now is Jack actually closeted gay, right? I don't really care. Who cares? For me, it's a matter of he has been telling stories for a very long time that aren't necessarily true.
Believe that the real issue is like promotion of homosexuality, but I mean, deviance is out there. I want to back that up. Deviant in a technical sense, right? It's out there, but the issue here is that the weaponized homophobia, like preying on everyone's fears of being called gay, has been the way that they've destroyed male friendship, destroyed the sense of agape.
Now that I don't know about. That's just silly. Never really experienced that. Again, usually you will hear that from women, and I could care less what vapid women have to say, honestly. I definitely respect women who are thoughtful and elegant ladies with class, but the trash that our society churns out today for a vast majority of women, and same goes for men. I mean, we have a largely trash society in the West,
right? Like true manly love.
If you look at the Liminal Order,
Spook says he also sounds gay. Yeah, well, if you watch Rekieta's stream at all, Rekieta Law, he had Drexel on there the other week, big stream for them, for him, and that's what he was saying.
His main moneymaker, I hear he makes about $300,000 to $400,000 a year off this thing. I don't know for certain if that's accurate.
$400,000 a year, probably more, because it says he has 700. The number that he has is something like 700 members. I'm sure not all of them are paying him $100 a month or $1,000 a year or whatever. Some of them probably paid that lifetime fee. But if all 700 were paying him for the year, then he is making at least $800,000 $50,000 a year off the Liminal Order. Now, mind you, some of that money, that's not all straight to Jack's pocket because he organizes brunches. Look, I like brunch, mind you. I don't know if I would be organizing a brunch for a men's group, though, man. Like, you organize a freaking cookout or something, not a brunch. That's pretty ladylike, but whatever. I don't know. I mean, Jack's in this like elite DC kind of circle, so maybe that's masculine there. I don't know.
That's what I hear. So this is a main moneymaker. This is one of the reasons he's freaking out right now. He's freaking out because
what even is agape? Oh man, that's a deep dive. So a lot of Protestant Christians like to say agape is God's ultimate love and it's only God's love and this and that. And that is a complete mistranslation and understanding of Greek. Agape is just pure love. It's non-sexual per se. It's like how you love your child. But it can be used for evil as well. And I know this because it's used in the Septuagint for men who love evil. So you'll hear a lot in Protestant circles that agape is God's ultimate love and it's only a special kind of love. And this, no, it's just a Greek word for non-sexual love, unlike, but it's not the same as necessarily friendly platonic love, right? And those are kind of different concepts, maybe, but that's all agape is. It's just a freaking Greek word that means love like you love your child.
he's going to lose a ton of money. He acts like a victim. If you go on his Twitter, you'll see that. It's this whole victim mindset garbage.
Okay, here's another one. First, Antifa tried to take me out, and then the crusty old losers in the manosphere did. Why would the manosphere try to take you out, though? And this is what, Anthony's addressing, right? Now it's rage merchants trying to knock me down. Well, I don't do rage merchant stuff, Jack. I'm doing this because I actually like what you have to say, and I think you're really screwing up. And I think you need to really, really, really reevaluate what you're doing. And you really need to reevaluate a lot of things. Now, I'm sure you'll never see this. I've considered trying to reach out to you and have you on my show before, but my tiny channel, it's not easy to get rid of or get a hold of higher profile people. But a lot of people haven't even heard of Jack. That's what I hear a lot of. They don't even know who Jack is. So, there's that. They all have two things in common. They traffic in fear while I promote love. Well, I don't know. I don't think I traffic in fear at all, but sure, I just traffic in reality. And they all failed miserably and will continue to be sad. Well, Jack, are you really being successful at the moment?
Yes. But really, it's because he wants to protect his relationships with people like Tim Pool, people who give him platforms, and his Liminal Order thing where
What are you saying, Shelley? I've never heard women joke about this. Most women think gay guys are cool, but every group of field guys have constant gay jokes, usually telling another guy he's looking hot today. Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing is when you start getting into like it's hilarious. All my buddies who are martial artists, we beat the crap out of each other. I mean, I got pictures. I'd have to dig them up, but I have pictures. I mean, after training, where I'm all bruised up and beat up. I got my eyes split open and all kinds of stuff. You beat each other up and you choke each other out, and at the same time, there's a lot of gay, was it nonsense joking around, but it's not the same thing. But as far as women go, women do like gay men because gay men are more like women. They can relate to gay men and they do think they're cool, but that's not what I was talking about. Was this notion that women are like, why do you hang out with your friend? Is he gay? These are toxic women, Shelley. You would have to date like 30 or 40 toxic women like I have in order to understand this. So, but they do this. And when a toxic woman wants to manipulate you, she'll start doing this stuff. saying, "Oh, are you gay? Did you do this?" And my ex-wife used to do this when I would hang out with my buddy, you know, near nightly. And, she would be in bed. I worked late. I worked evenings and stuff. And I needed to unwind, deal with a bunch of, jerk inmates all night long, run around a jail, do a bunch of stuff, and see what you want to do at midnight. You're not going to bed right away. Some people could, but I'm not the type. I needed to unwind. So my buddy was a night owl. Go over there, hang out with him, have a couple beers. Lived kind of around the corner, and head home and go to bed, and that'd be it. But my ex would be like, "Why are you hanging out with so and so much? Are you guys gay? Are you secretly gay?" Or we were both into fitness and martial arts, so just stuff like that. Are you gay? It's out there, trust me.
I guess to steal money from guys for $100 a month, $99 a month, whatever it is.
And then I look at him and I'm like, bro, you say that, and it's
A month, whatever it is.
I interview guys every single day for the Liminal Order, and every time in every session I ask the guy, so what is the most important value to you? And then sometimes a guy will say personal accountability, and I say, yeah, personal accountability, huh? And then I look at him and I'm like, bro, you say that's your value, but I'm looking at you and you're 80 pounds overweight.
Yeah, so Jack says that that's his value too, and he's judging this guy. This is the whole judge not, lest you be judged. An interesting thing, Anthony made another video about Fit and Fresh and Tim Pool having these folks on. I'm not going to play that, but look, Jack's going on saying, "Oh, I'm a Christian now, this and that." And I saw recently he was talking about he's getting into Christianity. I didn't know he was a Christian all of a sudden. Are you, Jack? But you're getting into these ideas and, oh, God forgiveness and God forgive me. You didn't act like you didn't ask for repentance. You can't hide from your past, guys. You can't hide from your sins. And here, Jack's not being personally accountable, yet he's saying, "Hey, I called this guy out because he was overweight."
So like, how are you embodying your values, right? Like, how is it manifesting itself in your life? How is it demonstrating to me that this is a value that you hold dear?
In 2019, Jack started becoming a lot.
You're welcome, Shelley. All right. So in 2019, this is important because in 2019 is when the chatterbait thing apparently was going on, right? It was on there around 2019. Jack's claim is that he was in a bad spot. He was canceled. He didn't have any money, and then they made thousands of dollars doing it, blah, 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 blah. At this time, Jack had already written Democrat to the Plurable. He's been at 21 studios and the 21 convention. He's done these things. He's been in other interviews. Again, we will get to it. We will talk about it.
A lot more hostile to the manosphere, even though he had been blogging in it for a long, long time. He actually declared in 2019 that the manosphere is dead. So that was about 2.5 years ago at this point when he made that tweet. That's when he started making a lot more enemies in the manosphere around that time too.
One thing the incel white knight drama hordes have in common with the progressives is an idea that everything can and should be perfect. I ain't perfect, I know it. I ask my loved ones to hold me accountable. I hold myself accountable, and I promise to do better every day. You're not holding yourself accountable now, Jack. And no, I don't know about the manosphere, but I don't expect you to be perfect either. This is the thing. In your imperfection, you must admit and apologize and basically repent. We haven't seen any real repentance from you, Jack.
And it's basically this catnip for conservatives who don't like the manosphere, these tradcons, who are not open to talking about having real conversations about masculinity and what needs to change in America and about feminism and stuff. It's just pandering to conservatives, basically to grift off them, to get money from them. It's a common thing to try to leapfrog from the manosphere to conservative politics. And then once you get to conservative politics, where he kind of networked his different relationships, Tim Pool, like that, he just throws everybody who ever knew him under the bus, and anyone who's coming after him to expose him for being a charlatan, to being a poser and a fake and a phony. So look what he goes here. I get why people are jealous. I am free. I am uncancelable. I am supported. I do great work. I can do whatever I want. Like sending your girlfriend out to get by dudes off Tinder. Congratulations, dude. Look at who hates me. Antifa, the manosphere, and YouTube rage merchants. So this is all ad hominem stuff. He's trying to package deal Antifa, right, domestic terrorist organization, with the manosphere and random YouTubers like The Quartering and Better Bachelor, I guess, right? Good riddance, he says. This is
I get why people are jealous. I'm not jealous of you, Jack. I am free. I am uncancelable. Well, man, I don't know about that one. I am supported. I do great work. I can do whatever I want. Look at who hates me. Antifa, the Manosphere, YouTube rage merchants. Good riddance. Those guys are school shooters waiting to happen. Now, that did not age well. And I will tell you why. Because one of Jack's members in the Liminal Order just shot up somebody this past weekend. A few people wrote some fantasy books about it. This happened in Denver, if you hadn't heard, and killed people he had fantasies to kill. We're going to talk about that here in a bit. This did not age well.
It's like complete bullshit. Here's where he goes off the rails. Those guys are school shooters waiting to happen. But this pissed me off. Calling the whole manosphere school shooters is like ridiculous, man. There are some problems in the manosphere, no doubt. I'm doing my best to clean it up, clean up the filth. But this is really beyond absurd, beyond the pale. Right now, I want to make it really clear that I completely have nothing to do with Jack Murphy at this point. Jack Murphy has no current association with 21 Studios, 21 Convention, anything like that. Has not in a long time. I've lost all respect for you, Jack. It was a mistake to ever let you speak at 21 Convention. You should have disclosed that you were into cucking before you ever spoke in 2018. It was unethical that you did not. You've embarrassed yourself. You've embarrassed the 21 Convention. You've embarrassed 21 Studios. You've embarrassed platforms like Tim Pool and Jack Posobiec could give you, and even Mike Cernovich, who give you platforms to to talk and speak and help promote your message. So you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And that's what pisses me off the most, is you've taken no responsibility, no accountability, and you have no shame for what you've done. Acting like a bitch, doing all this cuck stuff, handling it in the worst way possible when it's already f***ing bizarre to begin with. This is beyond pathetic, man. And you've given new meaning to the term conservacuck, I would say. I mean, typically conservacuck is like an insult, a derogatory term. You've actually managed to combine these things in real life. And really, I think you're just like a Bernie bro, basically. You're a Bernie bro conservative grifter pretending to be this masculine alpha male, trying to leech off of basically these conservative beta males. And it's sick. It needs to stop. You know, my favorite philosopher, Ayn Rand, said something great that I think it's a quote that needs to be said here. She said that you can evade reality, but you cannot evade the consequences of evading reality.
Yeah, that is true. So guys, interestingly, and by the way, I'm looking for this tweet from Jeremy of the Quartering, Jeremy Hambley. I did have a screenshot of it, but I don't know where it's at on my computer. Maybe it's on my phone. But if you give me a minute, I think I'm almost there. After Jack went on, I showed you the thing about how he was being doxxed by revenge porn. Here it is. So let's see here. So I showed you that picture. I had that on here as a screenshot. So here comes Jack now. Guys, there is more bad news coming out about me. I am sorry. After I got canceled from my real life job and career, things were dark. We didn't have any money coming in, and there were no jobs at all. I was lost and desperate, so my fiance and I did cam porn at home. None of this makes any sense, and I'll show you why in a minute. Why they were lost and desperate. Why there wasn't any money coming in. It doesn't make any sense. Because again, the stuff on Chatterbait apparently was from 2019. He was already in the political sphere by then. Mind you, now Tim Pool may not have had him on until last year. There are interviews that are older from other people. So my fiance and I did cam porn at home. People paid us to, have sex on the couch. We made thousands of dollars. It is shameful, and I am sorry. Well, fine, Jack. Maybe you should have had that removed from Chatterbait a long time ago, because People can still watch it. It's still publicly up. And that means, seems to me, that you are collecting revenue from it still, potentially. I don't know how Chatterbait works unless it's just purely tips, but I would assume they have a subscriber, some sort of subscriber method. And if people are still subscribed to you, whether you're making content or not, it's out there. Most of those sites, from what I understand, if you contact and say, I want my material scrubbed from the web or whatever, I mean, obviously you've scrubbed lots of stuff from the web recently, they will do it. Hundreds and hundreds of your tweets were scrubbed recently, probably because one of your Liminal Order guys just shot up a bunch of people. Now, again, Jack's not responsible for that, but it doesn't look good with all of this going on. It is a perfect storm, if you would, for the whole exposure of what Jack Murphy's been doing. And again, I might be completely wrong and off base on all of this stuff, but Jack, you're going to have to come out and bring the receipts yourself. He says, and I'm sorry you have to deal with it. I understand if this is too much heat for you guys, but this is it. This is the final washing, my final test. I have grown and changed so much since then. The final washing, it was 3 years ago now, but the hate trolls have dug it up again and are going apish and with it. Well, I'm not a hate troll, Jack. Not at all. I don't like this drama stuff, actually. But you know what I also don't like? I don't like being lied to, and I don't like being told stories so I can garner sympathy for you so that you can then exploit me or other people for your own financial gain, because that's what you did. Seemingly. I like rackets. Final washing until the next washing. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see here. And we're going to go here. Let me check out some chat though real quick, because we're an hour in. OG Shakes, Gooding. The dude painted his nails. That's a red flag. Yes. Yes, it's over on Entropy. Once again, a reminder, guys, if you wish in any way to make a donation, you can do that over at Entropy. There's a PayPal, all that stuff. Links in description. Let's go back up here, though. I've been trying to sort of keep up with chat. Spook said, are you really bros if you don't flirt with each other? Dude, I mean, one of my best friends, and he's very smart guy. Very, very, he's not a guy you would want to mess with. He don't look like much. I mean, he's great shape, but he's kind of wiry, right? Kind of not super tall. I think he's about 5'10" or so. But like, you wouldn't think much of him, but he is super athletic and explosive. And he's been doing martial arts for a very long time. He teaches Muay Thai and Silat, and you wouldn't want to mess with him. In any case, he's got a lot of brothers, and they're always doing, playing around gay stuff. It's stupid stuff, right? But it's like the football players smacking each other's butts or something, right? It's like, dudes are weird. I don't want to tell you. But it's not real gaydom. It's not real gaydom. Cuck-a-doodle doodly. Glad to see you guys are becoming friends in the chat. You're in another lockdown. That sucks, man. I wouldn't think that Qatar would lock down, dude. Isn't it like it's still pretty warm out and sunny and stuff? Like, I would assume that there wouldn't be a lot of spread. All right, guys. Oh man, that's Thane. That's a good point, buddy. It's a really good point. Whew. It's all about controlling and manipulating people. Check my notifications. What notifications? For what, Spook? Oh, but Twitter, yeah, dude, whatever. I check them and then people tag me and stuff. So Candace Owens is in between both real and grift. Yes, yes. And this was my thing with Jack. This is why I mentioned this on Sunday, because Candace is kind of like this, right? And of course there's Carlin. Who again, I liked Carlin. I liked Candace. I still think Candace is important, is good in the long run for the movement. Not because I think she's the best, but because people are shallow. They don't look into details very often. And this is a perfect example of that, because no one seemed to know anything about Jack's past background in the past, right? So here's the thing I found on Reddit. Someone tweeted out a photo from the Liminal Order of some of Apple Podcast reviews for Jack Murphy Live. The image had apparently been used as a promotion item somewhere online. So let me move the quartering out of the way. That was here. And there are statements here. But one of them is this one right here. Most podcasters and speakers on the right are very socially conservative about sexuality, or at least they present that way. Jack's willing to buck that trend. So on the bottom right-hand corner of the image is a review from one named Dr. David Levy. Or Lee. Out of curiosity, I Googled that name. Turns out the guy was the third guest Jack ever had on his podcast, Jack Murphy Live, episode number 003. He's an author. Below are the Amazon descriptions for the 3 books he has written. Now, this is the guy that was a guest on Jack's show, right? Insustainable Wives, Women Who Stray, and the Men Who Love Them. This enlightening work investigates the history, incidents, and causes of a unique sexual lifestyle pursued by increasing numbers of couples. It is called by many names and lived in a variety of ways by different couples. The most common term used to describe it are hot wife or cuckold life. The sexual practice, a form of sexual non-monogamy, is distinguished from swinging and polyamory in that the husband rarely seeks sexual contact outside the marriage except for participation in group sex with his wife and other men, while his wife is permitted and often encouraged to pursue unrestrained sexual encounters with other men. Now, again, I don't know if Jack actually did any of these things. These are claims that he made. But this is interesting that he would interview a gentleman that wrote these things. The myth of sex addiction. Sex addiction is real, folks. I was a sex addict for a while. What sex addiction is people drowning their sorrows into the pleasure of sex, just like people who are drug addicts or alcoholics. And yes, there are physical components, biological, chemical components to it. Obviously, if you're an alcoholic, you just quit cold turkey, you can die. It may cause you to have a heart attack. So there are issues there, right? But people don't get into it because of that physical addiction. It happens later. There is a soul problem that happens first. So the myth of sex addiction, going against current assumptions and trends, Lee debunks the idea that sex addiction is real, yada, yada, yada. Ethical porn for dicks, a man's guide to responsible viewing pleasure. Nothing too incriminating, but I find it very funny that Jack Murphy, who has been extremely careful and selective about revealing his public sexual history, had someone on his podcast with his bio: cuckoldery, check; porn, check; sex addiction. Who knows? If nothing else, there's a possibility that many of his reviews on Apple Podcasts were placed there either via liminal order or personal request from Jack. There's someone online claiming to be a former member of the Liminal Order who says the reviews are faked, i.e. part of the requirements to get into the Liminal Order. I have no way of knowing that. if this is true. And he has an edit from edit 1 from from Dr. David Lee's wiki page. Lee has also criticized internet memes surrounding the No Nut November challenge. Creepy little smorgasbord of insecurity-driven hate with anti-Semitism, misogyny, and homophobia. Look, man, I went no fap, and that was a hard thing for me. And I went cold turkey, and it was a good thing for me too, though, because it taught me self-control. And why did I do it? Well, I had a spiritual revelation, and I was used to if I had a dry period of not, if I didn't have a girlfriend or, a friend with benefits, whatever, or someone in my life that I was sexually engaged with, or multiple people, I would go a few weeks, generally, max like 6 weeks. And that didn't happen very often. But so to go no fap and celibate, complete change. Like I had a life change, literally. So we don't know that Jack did. So anyways, there is that. Now, more importantly, what I want to get to is, let's see. I think this is the right thing.
Please clear up.
Nope. That's not what I wanted. Where is... I might have the wrong videos loaded up in here. Give me a second. I'll get them up here. Okay. I did have them right. I just accidentally closed them out. So, guys, I'm going to have to take a little run to the bathroom here. Just drink a bunch of water and some coffee. But what I am going to do is play this video. And this is from an interview, and well, it'll speak for itself. So this is right after supposedly Jack Murphy was canceled. We're going to talk about this. We're going to get into, I hear sex addiction is very lonely. It actually is. Yeah, it actually is. It's like Jordan Peterson says, when you're one disposable, when you're searching for a series of disposable sexual encounters, eventually you realize that you're also part of that series of disposable sexual encounters. It's quite dehumanizing, actually. So let's hit play on here. I'm going to go use the men's room. I'll be right back.
Jack, welcome to the show.
Hey, Gavin, how are you, man?
Good. I haven't seen you in 24 hours.
Then before that had been like a year or two, I think.
Yeah, it had been. Yeah. Well, I first met you shortly after the shit hit the fan with your entire life.
Indeed.
Because a stinky cunt named Lacey McCauley.
That's right. You remember.
Showed a tweet of you with some bad men. Who were the men?
It was Richard Spencer and the other guy who led the Unite the Right thing in Charlatan.
Jason Kessler.
Jason Kessler, that's it.
Right. I know both of those dudes. I've had both of them on my show. Jason Kessler was a normal dude. He was an Occupy Wall Street guy, voted for Obama. I used to think he's a Fed, but he writes for VDare now, so he's pretty entrenched in the right if he's
in deep cover then.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Very deep cover.
But Jason was in the Proud Boys, sort of. What happened was he did the beatdown thing, and then he got sussed out within hours and was kicked out. He pretended he wasn't alt-right.
Oh.
So he was vamoosed twice. So everyone says, a Proud Boy organized Unite the Right, which is patently false. And then with Richard Spencer, what people don't get is people change. And I knew Richard in 2007. Normal dude. He just coined alt-right. He had a website called alternativeright.com that was super boring, and it was about the founding fathers and Jefferson and old-timey pictures. Like, I couldn't read it. It was like history class.
Yeah.
And alt-right, when he first started, was...
So we're going to talk about the alt-right thing here, but trust me, when Jack's about to go into his history of being canceled, and then I'm going to show you what actually happened.
Jack Posobiec, Cassandra Fairbanks, Ezra Levant, Lauren Southern. It just meant fathers and Jefferson and old-timey pictures. Like, I couldn't read it. It was like history class.
Yeah.
And alt-right, when he first started, was Jack Posobiec, Cassandra Fairbanks, Ezra Levant, Lauren Southern. It just meant I'm conservative, but I smoke pot and I've had a threesome before.
Yeah, pretty much. It was actually the cool moniker. You're like, oh yeah, alt-right, that makes sense. I'm not down with this GOP establishment stuff.
Yeah, I don't like Guy Benson.
Right.
I respect Ben Shapiro, but I couldn't imagine having beers with him.
Right.
I guess I'm a weirdo conservative, like the guy who was in fucking Castaway. What's his name?
Tom Hanks?
Not quite. The guy next to him. The guy who was in Justice, Frontier, the cowboy guy, Nick Searcy.
Oh.
Like a Nick Searcy kind of guy.
Yeah, it's sort of like you're on the right, but, alternatively so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Richard Spencer said, "Hail Trump."
That's right.
And the alt-right went shoo.
It did. That was...
Now, mind you, Gavin was very on top of this thing and was considering himself alt-right at the time. Everyone kind of started saying alt-right, and then all that was dropped. And the reason why that happened was because he knew Charlottesville was going to be a bad deal, saw it coming. If you guys didn't know, by the way, we talked about Patriot Front a little bit back on the Incest by the Memes. They are an offshoot of Charlottesville, and the creator of Patriot Front, if not a Fed, however he got his money to get that stuff organized and funded, wanted a peaceful movement. He broke away from the more extremist folks, so they aren't there to be violent, apparently, which is what I thought. But I'm always going to condemn violence. It's the bottom line. It's not a good look. It's not what we need to do. It's not going to bring in members, and it doesn't make us morally superior to fight with other people. Now, if you're being attacked, that's a different thing. But we need to figure this out in the most peaceful means possible. This takeover of our nation, and granted, it's old and it's been happening. But anyways, back to this subject.
Disaster back then. It was bad press for everybody. It seemed like a bad decision. Who knows how authentic it was? But it turns out that I actually went down to a protest to watch Antifa and the alt-right just like square off in Lafayette Park across the street from the White House. And it was on the day after Trump had done the Syrian airstrikes. And so there was...
By the way, guys, I know it's the cool look or whatever. It's really metro and gay. Wear freaking socks.
It's like a big protest. I went down there. I took some pictures.
When you don't wear socks, your feet stink too. Wear socks.
Somebody else took a picture of me taking pictures of Jason and Richard, put it up on the internet. Someone else.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Man, like, trust me, if I'm going to wear a suit, men's fashion, whatever, I'm going to look good. But I'm not going to do that. I really hate that. I hate what are they? The like men's capris these days. I hate all the clothing that is getting feminized for men. And one thing I can tell you is, in the past, traditionally, men's clothing was appropriated by women, not the other way around. High heels come from men, actually.
Saw us in a picture with Cassandra and Jack, and we're like, this guy, Jack Murphy, who's he? We got to find out who he is. So they put it all together, and they're like, this Jack Murphy's alt-right. And they decided to find my employer. They decided to track me down all over the internet.
How the hell did they do that?
I don't know, but I saw a picture that had, it was me and Jack and Cassandra and Will Chamberlain. And
okay, so what he is claiming is that he was doxxed for hanging out with certain people, basically. Now, he's told the story numerous times, and it's slightly different depending on where you hear it from. I believe how he tells it on Tim Pool's slightly different. But again, I'm gonna rewind this a little bit, and we're gonna get into the truth of it because it's out there.
Jack Murphy's alt-right. and they decided to find my employer. They decided to track me down all over the internet.
How the hell did they do that?
I don't know, but I saw a picture that had it was me and Jack and Cassandra and Will Chamberlain and Chelsea Manning actually was in the picture as well, which is what sort of set it all off.
That is this picture right here. Okay. So, I guess that's Posobiec and over here, because that's Will Chamberlain. That's his old lady. That's obviously old Manning down here. I don't know who all these other people are. We say it's Cassandra Fairbanks. I guess that's Cassandra there. I don't know. Doesn't look like her, but whatever. So we'll get to this article in a minute.
And there was a big question mark over my head. And so they did the back trace or whatever they do to figure out who I was. And then they came after my employer, got me fired, got me banned from coaching Little League, sort of sent me off into the wilderness. That's right when I came on your CRTV show.
The home of the censored. So what were you coaching?
Coaching Little League Baseball. I was coaching my son. 12 seasons we coached. And that was it. I was done. I was banished from good company and from proper society because I had been photographed in the same geographic location as Jason.
Exactly.
Richard.
That's
so Jack's story is he was in a photograph and therefore he was fired from his job, which basically organized and regulated charter schools. This is Jack's story. This is not what happened. This is not the truth. Jack leaves out the truth. Real quick, OG Shakes says, for $5 over on Entropy, says, keep up the work, brother. You are going to the Warrior Spectrum this February. Are you going? I don't think so, man. I want to. I want to go, but I think it's at the very beginning of February, and I don't know. It's not like super expensive, but it's expensive enough. I don't know if I want to spend the money right now at this time of year. And I think what I'm going to try and do is go through some of the longer basic courses that they offer. So, Rich offers like basic concealed carry courses. He operates more tactical courses, obviously like long range shooting, all kinds of stuff. So I think I'm going to do some of those so I can get my skills refreshed, because the Protector Summit was great, but I feel like I could have done a lot more had it not been such a large group. And my skills are kind of latent because I used to do this professionally. So they're there, but they just need rehoned, right? It's like the knife edge that hasn't been sharpened or oiled in a while, so it's a little rusty. You need to strip a little bit off, but then it's good. So that's kind of where I'm at on that, and I'm hoping that I can get in for 2 or 3 courses this year. But I'd have to look up when the Protector Summit, and let me do that right now, because I'll give a big shout out to them. Actually, I like Rich and them, and of course, Greg, who's who's real close with Rich. They're old buddies from Muay Thai class, basically, back from Rich was in high school before he was in Navy SEAL. So my buddy Greg is tight buddies with him. So, just gotta be careful when I type in full spectrum warrior, because it will often come up as the video game courses. Yeah, it's February 4th. I'll pull this up. I'll pull this over here. This is quite a bit more expensive this year than it was last year, but I think attendees from last year get last year's price. So $750, but this might be including the ammunition. I know they definitely have to give you frangible rounds. So it's February 4th, and of course, Rich Graham, Elliot Hulse, Greg Mahovich, who's my buddy, Jason Pike, who's a really nice guy. Jason's a great firearms instructor, by the way. John Burke, who does a really cool BJJ stuff with like firearms and like it's like one of my problems with sport fighting systems is they always take out the weapons and you can't street fight that way. I'm telling you right now. You know, you find a little guy like me. Again, I like to be a pacifist, but I'm just saying, and the mindset is everyone's bigger than me, and I need to survive. So therefore, I'm going to take every advantage I can to survive. That's what fighting's about. And so you're going to start to implement weapons. That's why weapons were invented, guys, to make people more efficient killers. So little guys like me could take out big guys. Justin Bateman, great medic, professional medic. He is a Canadian, but we forgive him. And then Barrett Fashbish, who is a speed shooter and a minister and all kinds of stuff. And Shannon Rush, another former Navy SEAL. He's a little guy like me, but he's got a hell of a powerful voice. The guy's like a Bud's instructor as far as voice. Kit Cope, 4-time World Muay Thai champion. Now I had Kit on the It's Justify the Meme show. Very, very nice guy. And JJ Boone, who is a hardcore go-getter, hard charger into trains dogs and stuff like that, I believe. Very, very big animal lover. And great opportunity if you guys can go. And very great company. In any case, let's get back to the topic.
Really the pussiness of these bosses of these corporations. Like, wasn't your boss was it was a charter school?
It was a district agency, so I was like a top regulator for charter schools, and they weren't going to have anything to do with me if I was accused of being a Nazi or a racist, given education is the capital basically of.
So again, he's saying they didn't want to have to do anything with me if I was accused of being Nazi or a racist. Well, what actually happened with Jack? Well, this is what happened. Feminists need rape. DC charter school manager and Manning photo admits to sexist, racist screeds. I don't know why it says screeds, but creeds. And that is this article right here. This is archived. But do feminists have rape fantasies? Do feminists have rape fantasies? Yada, yada, yada. Jack Murphy, October 19th, 2015. So he got canceled. Maybe he started doing the porn then in 2015. I don't know. But he was just there on Gavin talking about how, you know, he first got into this thing and yada, yada, yada. And what is Jack doing now? Now he's lying about it. Now, and he's been lying about it. He's been lying about why he's canceled. This is why he was canceled. The root of feminist unhappiness these days is their stubborn defiance of desires innate in their DNA. Well, I guess that's the best I'm going to do with it. But their insistence of idealizing the male at the expense of the female has led to the breakdown in sexual marketplace, the fall of the marriage, and the rise of divorce. These trends mirror declining female happiness over the decades. Feminism built over an unresolved dichotomy within women, resulting in ongoing internal torture. Much like a transgender, they are trapped and acting in a way, yada, yada, yada. But he goes on, right, in the article to basically say, you know, well, right here, the farther away you are as a potential rapist, the less desirable you become on a purely physical level. When you rape a woman, you remind her of the man she wishes you were, said Jack Murphy. I'm only saying that because people clip things. What? They adore you for it. Feminists especially. In fact, it saves their lives. Edgy, Jack, quite edgy. I don't think so. I think rape is pretty deplorable. Now, I get that women do have rape fantasies. That's a fact. But this is what Jack got canceled over, guys. It wasn't because he was in some photo. Jack is 100% lying. And I will forgive the man if he wants to wants to admit to his lies. But that's not what he's doing. So we'll talk about this in a minute from Salon and this article as well. But basically, what was going on was Jack started gaining some notoriety. This is in 2018 that this article was written, by the way. And that was found out that he wrote that article, and this is why he was getting canceled. Mind you, article 2015. Whoops. This is from 2018, January 2018. Hopefully you guys can see that, right? So we'll read a little bit of it. And mind you, that interview with Gavin, I believe, was from 2019. Earlier this week, after her appearance at the pro-Trump gala on Saturday stirred plenty of controversy, a photo of Chelsea Manning participating in an escape the room in Washington, D.C. with far-right conspiracy theorist Cassandra Fairbanks and Jack Posobiec. Okay, well, I don't think that Fairbanks is a conspiracy theorist. She was a Bernie supporter, and she switched. And Posobiec was an intelligence officer, and I really like Jack Posobiec because he seems pretty smart. Seems pretty on point. And of course, him and Wilt Chamberlain are the founders of Human Events. Or editors or whatever they do. They run it. So originally unearthed by reporter Yarish Ali, the photo helped cast doubts on Manning's claims that she had simply crashed the party in order to gather intel. So remember, Jack said that Yarish put this photo up and that's why he got canceled. But the fallout from the photo doesn't appear limited to Manning. As Think Progress tackled down, the photo remains publicly available on a Facebook page of Escape the Room DC. I'm assuming that's an escape room that they went to together or something. I don't know what that is particularly, but escape rooms at this time became quite popular. In fact, I remember going to one in Frederick, Maryland with some friends on like a double date a while back before I met my wife. Indeed, there are actually no photos of the Facebook page that show Manning smiling alongside the rest of the group. While many of the figures are easily identifiable, in addition to Fairbanks and Posobiec, Lucian Witrick of the far-right conspiracy site Gateway Pundit is also present. Yeah, I mean, this is called Think Progress, guys. So probably a really garbage outlet, but still. It's covering the story. Same with the reason, why I have Salon here. Salon's an absolute garbage outlet, but there are kernels of truth in here, right? One man with a salt and pepper beard and recently a receding hairline remained unknown according to the photo. He is tagged as Jack Murphy, aka John Goldman. Interesting. Murphy, as it is, maintains a relatively prominent Twitter presence within the so-called New Right. He maintains a website where in a post earlier this week, he admits being in the photo alongside Manning. However, Murphy doesn't appear to be his real name. In an interview with WAUM, Murphy admits that he is indeed Goldman, adding to his loves everyone. As Goldman wrote on his Jack Murphy site, because various political advocates were upset that Chelsea Manning appeared with Trump supporters. By the way, there is a really prominent journalist named Jack Murphy, who I believe is a veteran. And there might have been a reason why Jack actually took the name to get notoriety. He claims it was because of his grandfather's name. But I'm curious as to whether the journalist in his profile was part of the reason why Jack took the name to be recognizable, right, as a form of branding. It's purely speculation, but I wonder after all these other things. Anyways, it says because various political advocates were upset that Chelsea Manning appeared with Trump supporters, they investigated and discovered my identity for the express purpose of publicly shaming. Goldman, who didn't respond to Think Progress question, also admitted that he worked for the District of Columbia Charter School Board, which had placed him on administrative leave pending an investigation. According to them, Goldman currently works as a senior manager with the organization and is responsible for financial oversight of the public charter schools in Washington, D.C. Goldman's LinkedIn profile says that he worked with the D.C. charter schools since September, while his website describes him as a charter school expert. Then contacted them and Think Progress, noting that they were aware of allegations made this evening against the employee. We take these issues seriously and are investigating the matter. And it says they would neither confirm or deny that Goldman was an individual in question. And the spokesperson, yada, yada, yada. Goldman, via his Murphy Twitter feed, has spent much of the past day on his Twitter denying accusations that he is a white supremacist. Indeed, there is no evidence that Murphy carries or espouses any white supremacist beliefs. He also claims he's suffering from political persecution. This is Think Progress that is writing this. Let me so you guys can see the Think Progress is where I'm at here, right? In case you couldn't see it. So they're even saying there's no evidence of that. He's not being canceled as a white supremacist. However, a brief glance through his Twitter feed shows any number of slurs against women and undocumented immigrants alike. And not only did Murphy call Hillary Clinton a B, but also told others to go lick Lesbo. All right. Well, I mean, who cares? Oh, he said some funny, spicy things. All right. Another tweet from Murphy said that fat girls have ruined curvy forever. And B's just say you're fat, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Let's go down here. The writings of Goldman on Jack Murphy's site. Goldman wrote that feminists need rape. It is our duty that men need this and that. So you get an outlet like this in DC writing about it. This photo comes out. People make a deal about Chelsea Manning. Jack kind of gets caught up in it, and the school starts investigating him, right? That's what happened, folks. This is how these things go. And I can see why they would want to get rid of him. Now, from the salon, I mean, you got to think how DC is, how DC politics go. Even if you're more conservative, it's like middle of the road, baby. Middle of the road conservative. You ought to hear all the young libertarian type folks that of course, I haven't been in DC in a while, hanging out with these people, but who are part of these nonprofit orgs and how they think and how they're locked in the system. Like, they're not aware, they're not sure what's going on either, because they watch mainstream legacy media too. So why 2020 Dem should target the nonprofit charter school industry? Now, I think that's silly for various reasons, but this goes into it. The main thing that I want to go and look at here in this article is a little bit down into here. And it's 10 Square that I want to talk about, because 10 Square, they were the ones who were doing this managing of the charter schools. And this article that's linked here from Rachel Cohen, I have up as well, and we'll look at this. So 10 Square is a Washington, D.C. based outfit that bills itself as a charter school support organization. In 2018, reporter Rachel Cohen wrote about 10 Square for the Washington City paper, describing it as one of the city's most connected, lucrative, and controversial charter school companies. 10 Square makes millions, Cohen noted, by promising to turn around struggling charter schools in Washington, D.C. through its consulting and management services. Now, this is a Jack Murphy connection. He has connections with 10 Square, and I believe he indirectly or directly worked with them through what he was doing. And they have ties to real estate as well, from what I understand, which Jack Murphy does as well. So let's listen to the rest of this interview with Gavin, and then I'll get into all of this stuff.
Critical race theory, social justice warriors, etc.
Yeah. And they don't give you a chance to explain yourself.
No, not
it's
at all.
just like, sorry, you're a Nazi.
They are, but they did a full investigation. We had lawyers, we had depositions, we had the whole thing. And there was a moment in the deposition, in this room full of lawyers, thousands of dollars burning every minute we're in there, basically. And I literally, it's on the transcript, it says, I am not now, nor have I ever been a member of the alt-right. And I said it like that on purpose to make a point,
Yeah.
Because it's witch hunty. But looking back on it, Joe McCarthy might have been right.
Oh, he's 100% right. We're in it now. He was right. We're in his paranoia, like his fear is come to fruition.
Right.
It's even beyond that.
Yeah.
Like McCarthyism said, I suspect that there are communists floating around in not just politics but in media, and they're planning to unleash some anti-American plan. It's been
Yes, Spook. Just like child rape and everything else, it's a horrible tragedy to do something like that to somebody. It completely takes away their autonomy, and it's a play of power. It has nothing to do with anything but power. It's about control and humiliation. It's a horrible crime.
unleashed.
It has.
In fact, it's winding up.
Yeah, basically, right. They finally reached the final moment. The final moment, like the one step below, was in the Kavanaugh hearings when they were using the words of radical feminism and social justice work to criticize Kavanaugh and say, believe all women and all this stuff. And then on the very first address that Biden had to the joint session of Congress, he says clearly, without any irony whatsoever, he says that the biggest threat that we face in America is white supremacy, terrorism, and we know that they define white supremacy as basically anybody who's white. So we know exactly what that means. That was representation of the full institutional takeover, bottom up, grassroots, all the way through all the institutions, all the way up to the president in Congress.
Yep.
So this might have been from 2020, not 2019. I'm not really sure, but I'm not used to seeing Jack with any hair whatsoever. So.
And it showed you that the radical left was defining the narrative. Like even when Trump and Biden.
So they're getting into that. I'm going to play this other one. I forget. He might talk more about it, but I have other stuff. I don't need to watch this whole clip. But I wanted you guys to see what Jack had to say about why he was canceled and his past and all of that. Now, here's another one.
It's time. And plus, you got to find a girl. And then you got to stick to it. You got to do all these hard things.
Well, you're on girl number 2, right?
Oh, boy. I have 3 kids. Yes, I have 3 kids, and they're growing up now. My youngest is 8. My eldest are teenagers. They're already looking at being done with high school and moving on.
But this is your second, you're married now?
I am engaged to be married again.
With the second wife?
This will be my second wife.
Is this off the record? Did we not discuss this?
No, it is. It's totally on the record, 100%.
Samuel, you're an Aussie, right? Metrosexual is an old term. I'm 40, so if you're a millennial, or I'm nearly 41 now, if you're a millennial, you may not know certain terms, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, metrosexual was this big term that came out from the media, it came basically down through Hollywood and the mainstream media. It's just mass programming to basically tell straight men that it was okay to dress like gay men, more or less. And so it was metro, because metro meaning city, and the metrosexual were these straight men who were getting manicures and pedicures and their eyebrows done and waxes and places where the sun don't shine, and they were dressing certain ways. That's metrosexual. So now I certainly advocate for good hygiene and, getting a good haircut or whatever, especially if you're trying to go meet women, you want to, look the best. Like for instance, I have long hair. Long hair can be hit or miss with women, but I just grew my hair out in the last year and I'm married, so I don't really care. But I met my wife with long hair. The minute I cut it though, because I was working and it was kept getting in my way, I cut it down and my wife was like, "Whoa, you're way hotter with short hair." It's like, well, yeah, generally women today will think that. So, um, those things are important. So the way you dress, having a sense of style, all of that I think is important in how you carry yourself and attracting uh, uh, a mate. But often men, it's part of our nature. We don't care about those things. So we're just t-shirt and jeans. We're kind of slubs. So it's this level beyond like, oh, okay, I'm dressing a little bit kind of nice. I'm taking care of my appearance. Gavin's a guy who takes care of his appearance, right? He's I mean, hell, he started the whole hipster thing. So but metrosexuals, yeah, it's like an old 90s, late 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s thing. Juan Cholo, thank you. See, my long-windedness, he puts it perfectly. Metrosexual is being straight but looking fabulous. Yes, thing, queer eye for the straight guy. Yes.
Announced our engagement. We've been together for a long time, and it was time for us to.
So why'd you get divorced? Your kids were pretty young.
Why did I get divorced? Well,
how did you blow that?
The original sin here is I just picked the wrong woman. Right, but why?
But why'd you breed with the wrong woman then?
All the same reasons. I didn't know. Nobody taught me.
I mean, 100%. 100%. The same thing. Nobody taught me either. I didn't know. I mean, I would be maybe given some stern warning. I'd never had a full-on conversation that made sense with good reasoning and logic and whatever else. I was never taught about women, being careful of women, other than maybe in my youth and some biblical stories. This is part of our fractured society. But right after this, listen to what Jack says. Let's just give some dates. And that's the thing I'm sitting here saying. Like I just showed you the charter school stuff. We're going to look back at those articles again here in a minute. But the dates are really important here because Jack seems to be lying. And Jack, if you're not, then cool. Clear it up for me. Please, man. Clear it up for me.
I didn't know.
How can you not know, though?
Woman? What makes a good woman? How do you know about common values? How do you know about shared values?
I don't have common values. My wife's pro-choice. She voted for Hillary. She's a vegan cunt. I'm just kidding.
Love you, honey.
About the cunt part, actually. Actually, no. I'm not. No, I don't know if I'm kidding about that. She's very bitchy. The American Indians that are nice are all dead. So the ones that are left are like, they don't give you any quarter. They're very grumpy.
Well, there was a lot of lessons I had to learn. I got married too young. Didn't know what I was doing. The choices that I made, the commitment that I made. I didn't even understand what marriage really was about then. But now I know.
But you made 3 kids with her.
I made 3 kids.
And
now he knows, and I don't know how he knows now, after cucking his wife out. Now that's what marriage is all about, Jack? Growing and trusting in your partner and experiencing our bodies with other people. Okay.
How did you know it was over? What was like she said this is not happening, or?
I mean, I knew that it was just time for me to go. It was just time to go. We had a business together, and
what was the business?
We were real estate developers, and the financial crash happened, and there was all kinds of huge stresses.
So he was a real estate developer. In 2008, financial crash happened. This is when he got his divorce.
Going on and financially,
yeah, money can really kill a marriage.
I was drinking too much, and I didn't want to be there. And getting divorced is one of the worst things that ever happened to me, but it's also one of the best things that ever happened to me. So it's tough to say.
Did you have to give up half your money?
More.
When the shit hit the fan.
I'm in a phase of loafers, Big Lebowski. I don't give an F. Yeah, I mean, I understand it, man. I understand it. I had a beard down to here a couple years back, and before I met my wife, and I shaved it down because I got sick of always having to trim it. There's actually maintenance when you have a beard, and so I trimmed it down and all that. My wife, when she saw those pictures, said, "I never would have married you. I never even would have went out with you if you had that beard." So, it was serendipitous. But yeah, I wasn't dating either. I didn't care. I did date a few women when I had that because when did I start dating? I started dating again in I think November of 2018. I think. Well, how long, my wife and I have been together? It'll be 4 years this year. So whenever, yeah, 2018. No, 2017, November 20. Was it? I guess it was. I don't even remember. I'm bad with dates and stuff like that, though.
Were you a real estate guy, or you had moved on?
I was still in real estate, yeah.
The shit at the fan, meaning the Antifa stuff I'm going back to.
Oh, no, that was years later, many years later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was I didn't get doxxed until 2018, right? So I got divorced in 2008.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought when I met you, you were pretty freshly divorced.
No, sir.
No? So how old are your kids?
8, 14, and 16.
Me too.
Yeah.
15.
All right, so that's enough. So I didn't get doxxed until 2018, like I said. And that feminist article was from 2015. And that's really the reason why he was canceled. And understandably, almost any company would fire you for that. That's public, kind of high profile, it's whatever. But let's talk about this charter school thing. So this is from the Washington City paper. This is a local DC thing, if I'm not mistaken. Behind the consulting firm ranking and millions from DC charter schools. Everybody afraid. That's the DC Charter School Administrator's assessment of 10 Square, one of the city's most connected, lucrative, and controversial charter consulting companies. And true to his word, he was talking anonymously. Not many people feel comfortable discussing 10 Square publicly. Even in education circles, most people have never heard of 10 Square, a national for-profit consulting firm that currently operates in 7 states and the district. It markets itself as a universal fixer of troubled charters, a one-stop shop for facility financing, staff recruitment, back-end operation, teacher training, and academic turnarounds. The company has kept a remarkably low profile since its founding in 2011. In one case, even contracting to work with the charter unbeknownst to the school's own principal. 10 Square has powerful allies in DC, most notably among them the Public Charter School Board with, who was in that? Jack Murphy, of course, which governs the city's charters. I would characterize the results as remarkably strong, says Scott Pearson, executive director of the charter schools. In every case, where 10 Square has done a full turnaround with a DC charter school, their results have improved significantly. But a 5-month city paper investigation has raised a host of questions about 10 Square's work. Available data do not show consistent improvements across the DC schools that hired 10 Square, and several schools got worse. Its business dealings reveal a crisis-crossing web of repeated players, potential conflicts of interest, and in one instance, the reoccurring appearance of an alleged far-right activist. I wonder who that could be. I wonder, why would Bill bring this article up? Yet it's not coincidence that 10 Square has landed some of the most remunerative charter contracts in the city. While not every school leader disparages 10 Square, a number have said they felt real pressure from the PCSB to hire the company. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, don't. All right, that works. Okay. It's always a game of is it too big or is it too small? DC has paid 10 Square millions of dollars in taxpayer funds since 2012, according to Freedom of Information Act requests. These disclosures reveal contracts between local charters and a consulting company. Youth Bind signed a one-year contract in 2015 for $735,000, followed by an additional 5-year school improvement contract for $2.4 million. Perry Street Prep signed a one-year contract in 2014 for about $500,000, and then a 4-year, $2 million contract immediately afterward, and so forth. The list that they supplied, however, was incomplete. The city paper discovered that 10 Square had more contracts than the charter school board disclosed through FOIA. Interesting. So there's shady workings here in general. Apparently. And this isn't Jack Murphy's fault, right? This is part of the stuff that he was involved with, including a 5-year, $5.8 million contract with Cesar Chavez Public Charter Network dating back to 2017, and a $78,000 contract with Septima Clark Public Schools, yada, yada, yada. Let's keep going. How 10 Square spends its money is even greater mystery. So we have no idea where the money goes once they get it. Now, most nonprofits take about 10 to 20% of their earnings and actually put it into the nonprofit. And the rest of it is overhead for salaries and all that kind of stuff. That's just how it goes, guys. And a lot of these CEOs of these nonprofits are quite wealthy. But this isn't even a nonprofit per se. This is a for-profit business. The Public Charter School Financial Transparency Amendment Act of 2015, passed by the DC Council, includes a significant caveat: an exemption for temporary management services recommended by the eligible charter authority to improve the performance of public charter school. This is Michaela Layton, who worked, excuse me for the coof cough there, who worked for 5 years at the Public Charter School Board as a senior manager of financial oversight, said it was no secret among her colleagues who would benefit from this temporary management service exemption. We explicitly discussed that the act was written exempt 10 Square from the transparency requirement, she said. I couldn't and still can't think of any good reason why 10 Square would be adverse to additional transparency than other school management organizations, and for a nonprofit would be forced to accept. So they don't know why, but there is no transparency, right? Since she pushed back on adding language about 10 Square, I was very clear at the time to both the executives and deputy director that I refused to write the exemption on ethical grounds. As a result, unlike virtually every other charter management organization operating in DC, the school board still does not have legal authority to go into 10 Square's books to see how it spent the public money. Isn't that interesting? This is the brainchild of Josh Kern, who graduated from Georgetown Law School in 2001. So it's probably airtight. That's probably, I mean, Georgetown, it's a tough school, guys. So I'm not a fan of the Jesuits, and I understand their influence in DC. Not something I'm going to get into at the moment, but still tough school to get into. And you get protected, and because it's a Jesuit school and you go there, you're in the in club, guys. Just realize that. And founded Thurgood Marshall Academy, a legal-themed charter school. Immediately afterwards, Kern led the academically distinguished charter for a decade, leaving in 2011 to start his consulting firm. Oh, okay. So here's where I guess things turned sideways, right? I felt like I had done what I came to do at Thurgood Marshall, but based on what I had learned, I wanted to have more of a role in the charter sector and help other schools, he says. He recruited a number of his Thurgood Marshall Academy colleagues to join him. Today, a fourth of the 10 Square 28-person staff previously worked at the Kearns charter. Let's check that out real quick. So this is their website. You can see who their staff is. And, this isn't to dox anybody or anything, guys. This is obviously listed as public information. From the outset, the company has had an invaluable local champion, Pearson, the head of the school board. He and Kearns are associated with a tight-knit DC charter world. Tight-knit. They protect each other, right? That also means that if you're going to do something, if a tight-knit group like this in DC, I believe a town of about just over 500,000 people, they're going to kick you out for writing articles that are about raping women and that they need to be raped. Right? So we're going to keep going down. 10 Square claims that it has essentially cracked the code of the school turnarounds. It comes into schools with problems, financial, academic, organizational, and through some combination of direct management and consulting attempts to reverse their bad fortunes. If schools are worried that the board will not renew their charter, 10 Square offers schools a new way to reverse course. And it has a comprehensive performance audit. And I'm trying to skip through this for the sake of time, guys, because I'm on 2 hours now. But this is one of the last things I did have really to bring up. These steps come as a customized improvement plan, yada, yada, yada. So this is all processed. This is supposedly what they do. So let's scan this for old Jack Murphy's involvement, because that's what this is really about here, right? But one, we don't know where the money's going from. It doesn't seem to be improving schools, all this stuff. And then Jack Murphy seems to have some sort of connection to this. So let me find it. We're not even halfway through this article. So you can see it's quite long. Let's see. When the city paper asked Pearsons to comment on his dynamic, he replied, "I don't think that there is any surprise as to what they would do." Oh, because they're talking about this audit again. Let's do an independent assessment. I don't think anyone is surprised if the situation for 10 Square to turn the schools around, but many charter school leaders disagree. It's a racket, says Ginny Freeney, whatever. My dyslexia won't read that. A former charter principal whose school contracted with 10 Square. A bunch of good old boys who are talking to each other and scratching each other's backs. Like, honestly, that's it. It's not about children, in my opinion. So it's like the teachers union. Now we know. They first started with Cesar Chavez Public Charter School, who, by the way, is not mistaken, if I recall that name correctly, was a commie. No, not print. Search the DuckDuckGoes. Yes. And this is if I also remember correctly, he had he currently has a bust in the Oval Office. So it says schools for public policy in mid-October 2020 or 2016. They signed a $24,000 contract. And it goes on. They pay them $75,000 per month to continue. All this stuff. What I want to get to, though, is the Jack Murphy stuff. I could read this whole article, but you could see it is quite long. You know, the quicker way to go through this, though. Here we go. There's John Goldman's name. All right. Some claims were challenged. One of the PM's metrics related to how many students re-enroll. Smith explained to the city paper, when I started WEDJ in 2012, we had a 57% re-enrollment rate at the beginning of the year, which was horrible. By the end of that year, yada, yada, it went up. 10 Square consultant positioned themselves as experts in how to increase school ratings. Smith wrote in her book, upon close review, I felt their analysis of the trends in achievement and growth scores was underwhelming. So they weren't really doing their jobs. And it goes on. And then we finally get down here to old Goldman. Smith says she was ultimately fired by her board after refusing to voluntarily resign. She wrote that the board chair offered her, she was fired after she wouldn't resign because she was going after 10 Square, is the gist of it, right? And chair offered her services in exchange for signing a non-disclosure agreement, and says happened to her earlier. She refused, or Smith refused, happened to Phineas or Free. I'm just not going to be able to do it. It's because the vowels and the consonants are together, and it's just like intermixed with each other too much, right? It's the do and whatever. And so if I was reading it silently, maybe I could figure it out. I don't know. I'm not going to do it right now. Anyways, they try to have one do an NDNA, and the Smith refused. The board chair who offered Smith her buyout, John Goldman, had a pre-existing relationship with 10 Square. In 2012, 10 Square recruited John Goldman to serve as executive director of the IDEA public charter schools. He had also been working in leadership positions with the WEDJ starting in 2009. Now, remember, in 2008, he was in real estate when he was getting divorced from his wife. So this is all going on like around the same times, and this guy is making money, and he's getting he's working with them directly while being on the charter school board. He's getting kickbacks from 10 Square. Supposedly, allegedly. I don't know. You make up your own mind. He had also been working in leadership positions starting in 2009 with the WEDJ from a 990 tax document shown between 2011 and 2016. Collectively, they paid Goldman more than $1.1 million for the job ranging from chief financial officer. So much money that he had to go do porn later on when he was canceled, guys. From a 990 tax form that between 2011 and 2016, John Goldman was paid more than $1.1 million. And he worked for the school board, but it was from 10 Square, the for-profit organizer that isn't doing anything, apparently. Now, I didn't fact check city paper, but this is what their article stating. But I would assume that they stated that it was from his tax document. He got paid out. During the same time span, the two charters paid 10 Square more than $2.4 million for the consulting service. So John Goldman made half of that money that the public taxpayers paid for, kicked back to him for service that apparently did absolutely nothing. The DC Public Charter School Board hired Goldman as a senior manager of finance last fall, but in early January, a left-wing activist launched a shocking allegation against him that he had been pseudonymously operating an alternative right blog with white nationalist associations. Goldman confirmed that he had been operating the website under the pen name Jack Murphy, but denied his support for white nationalism, racism, or fascism. True, but it wasn't really that they got rid of you for, now was it? A Twitter account operated under the Jack Murphy pseudonym rarely lobbed attacks on diversity, feminism, and illegals. One tweet laid out why the movement of pro-Trump deplorables would continue to grow. Cultural Marxism, intersectionality, feminist overreach, mass immigration, globalist policies, these will continue to push people to us. Now, here's the thing, is Jack knew very well that he couldn't write these things John could not write these things as John Goldman and keep his job. He knew that. He knew that. I promise you. This is where the pseudonym comes from. Once he got canceled, it was fine that he was very, very public, right? But he wasn't canceled for the reasons that he says. Let's go back and talk about the reasons that he said he was canceled again.
Alt-right. And I said it like that on purpose to make a point, you know?
Yeah. Around in not just politics, but in media, and they're planning to unleash some anti-American
moment, like the one step below him and all this stuff. And then on the very first address that Biden had to the joint session of Congress, we know that they define white supremacy as...
And it showed you that high up. It's not walk down.
Well, was it this one? Whatever. You guys saw it. I played it earlier. I don't need to keep rehashing the video, but he said, "Oh, I got canceled for this photo with Jack Posobiec and Wilt Chamberlain and Chelsea Manning and that's why I got canceled." No, you got canceled because of things that you were writing and for the companies that you were working for. And frankly, I don't know why you needed to do porn when you're obviously a millionaire. Guys, most of us, I think, will make $1 million around over our lifetime of working. But not in a few years, and not with this liminal order with those guys paying him nearly $1 million a year. Let's not mention or forget his book sales, folks. Now, I was trying to get information on how many copies he sold, but this book is rather popular. Here on Goodreads, it has a 4.17 stars. It's pretty good rated. I mean, this is what got him on Tim Pool, basically. A number of tweets and blog posts produced during Goldman's tenure as school improvement leader focused on the idea that feminists unconsciously long for violent sexual submission. I can smell a feminist yearning for that thrashing from a mile away. Now, again, spicy edgelord stuff, I really don't care about. But when you're doing that, what do you expect? Don't turn around and then go, "Oh, I was canceled. I was canceled because I made derogatory statements and things that are talked about horrible things like raping people and that they needed it." And again, I get it. You were probably just trying to be an edgelord. But come on, Jack. You use that to garner sympathy. And then you turned around when all this came out that you were doing porn and whatever else and went after the quartering and said that he was a sexual predator, basically posting revenge porn, things that were already public. Yep, exactly, Holly. And poor me, pork for money shtick. Yeah. And again, guys, I have a big heart for forgiveness. Jack wants to come out and address all these things. He wants to be 100% open. He wants to cry on air. He wants to say, you know what? I'm really sorry. You're right. He wants to come out and say, I'm going to donate some of my money to some other organization. Then cool. Path to redemption, 100% from me at least. But you got to come clean, dude. You want to be a good man? You want to show leadership? Then you got to come clean. Goldman was placed on administrative leave in January pending an investigation. And the PCSB, dude, initials and acronyms are the worst for me. Spokesperson confirmed in late April that he was no longer employed with the organization. Goldman declined to comment on his employment status. 10 Square routinely touts its headquarters services, and its website states that the company draws on our extensive network of local and national education relationships and recruit top quality candidates. And our screening process is extensive, yada, yada, yada. When City Paper asked for comment on John Goldman's hiring, Kern said his companies commonly refers names of possible candidates, but that ultimately the school board of trustees hire the leaders. So I think that's about it. Talks about some other things here. There's a lot of stuff in this article. It's a pretty long article. But that is about it as far as that goes. So, last few things I have on this, guys, is just some recent articles going over this controversy. We're going to look at the American conservative, but first we're going to look at garbage. And that's from the Daily Beast. And the reason why I'm pulling these up is because, well, there was a shooting the other day. And this goes hand in hand with all this. Now, I showed you earlier in the one clip that there were tweets about how Jack talking about how these people on the right are all haters and they're school shooters. Not a good look, Jack. Not a good look. I think God has a sense of humor sometimes, because right now you're getting your just desserts for all the lies you've told. The conservative movement is depraved and decadent. I don't know about that. But if you mean having good morals and stuff, sure. When people on the left say that you're depraved and decadent, you have to take a step back and be like, okay. Now, if it said Jack Murphy, we might be able to agree on that. And no, I'm not saying this because the impending anniversary of January 6th, that's today, by the way. Happy Insurrection Day, everybody! Which does happen to feature the freakish QAnon shaman. Who cares? So I said, this is garbage, but I just want to read the very beginning of it. My statement was actually prompted by a mass shooting in Denver last week. The shooter interacted with several alt-right manosphere authors on Twitter. He did more than that. One name that stood out to me was Jack Murphy, who used to go by the name John Goldman. He was briefly in the news a few years ago after he was fired for writing some crazy misogynistic stuff like feminists need rape. Notice how the Daily Beast isn't claiming it was because of a photograph. The photograph spurred on an investigation because of people's accusations. Murphy wasn't canceled because of a photograph. Cool story, bro. I mean, that's really what it is. It's a cool story that is meant to basically play on your emotions. He was briefly in the news a few years ago. Yeah. Murphy believes that he's been canceled, but he has spent the past year as a Lincoln Fellow at the Claremont Institute. He has. Claremont has been used to be a highly respected conservative intellectual institute, but now it's Flight 93 all the time and worse. Well, again, this is the Daily Beast, so I'm not going to take too much of what they say too seriously, but there's still nuggets of truth in here, right? In addition to holding these once prestigious fellowship, the Trad Chad also runs a $90 a month private men's only. We already know all this. The world always needs a villain today, and that villain is the white straight male who knows what he wants and is unafraid. No. It's not that the world always needs a villain per se. It's that manipulators always make others and villains in order to direct your ire. This is how they control and manipulate you. This is also why I don't advocate for violence, but peace. Because I'm not trying to make villains and enemies of folks. Now, I know that there are enemies of mine. They've come at me on this channel. They've come at me. I've been live. Not a lot, but for a few weeks there, had the Rainbow crew coming after me. One particular person who sent me an email didn't understand what they were doing because they're narcissistic. And narcissists don't understand how other people think. They don't. They just understand how to manipulate. It is interesting and ironic that the same types of macho alpha males who call other people cucks keep turning out to be literal cuckolds, isn't it? But that's not totally true. It's not totally true now. Murphy is also apparently took part in a low-budget porn film, according to conservative writer Robert Dare. Yeah. And this goes on. I don't want to keep going into it. But yeah, it gets into all of the things. But the main thing is that, well, there was this shooting in Denver last week. And, Jack had to go say some particular words. And I certainly wouldn't be going after Jeremy the Quartering with his big channel and big following. He's not employing a ton of people. I'm pretty sure his lawyer fees will be paid. And you calling him a sexual predator, that was a statement of fact, my friend. And not good. Not good. The week better buck up. Denver gunman left online trail of hate. And I really don't want to give this guy a lot of credence. I didn't really want to talk about this whole thing. But the bottom line is if you didn't know, this guy was part of the Liminal Order. He was in Jack's crew. A lot of people think that the damage control of deleted tweets over the weekend was in order to get rid of Jack's public conversations with this guy. So here from the American Conservative, Queer as Volk. All right, let's see. Do one more. Yeah. That'll do it. Major craziness going on the right in a certain niche corner of the right. Do you know who Jack Murphy is? I barely knew of him until I saw him pass in a hallway in the National Conservative Conference recently. He's a striking figure, very tall, bald, and a dramatic beard. Someone explained to me that he is a big figure in the manosphere and fronts a hyper-masculine philosophy that teaches men to be alpha by cucking out. Man, this whole thing is crazy. Here's a link to his self-described website. Here's an excerpt. Men are being told that they can't and shouldn't and take away the patriarchy. By the way, his Liminal Order, the ad for it reads like all the cringiest. I hate marketing ads that go on forever. If you're ready, you click now. This one time. This was $19.95, but if you do it now, I'll give you a special offer and sell it to you for $9.95. And I'll add in these 3 products. That whole thing, and it goes on for 15 years. It takes you an hour to read the whole thing. If you go through it, I just hate that kind of marketing. People use it because apparently it works, according to marketing experts. I don't know. Seems it works on people who are susceptible to that, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, his real name's John Goldman. Why is Jack Murphy in the news this week? In part because this person who was a mass shooter, and I'm not going to name, the far right mass shooter. I don't know if he was far right, but I hate using that kind of terminology. But anyways, in Denver, who wrote novels under the name Roman McClay, was allegedly a member of Murphy's private brotherhood called the Liminal Order. What is the Liminal Order all about? I suspect we will be finding out soon. So anyways, this gets into controversy a little bit, but I'm right at the 2.5 hour mark. It's 7:30 here, folks. I started an hour later than I wanted to. So I'm going to jump off because I need to spend time with my family, as I am the patriarch of my family, and that requires me being around. So I just want to make sure I don't have any more chats on entropy. Appreciate you guys being here. I don't have time to go through all of your lovely chats. That's what you need to super chat for. Jesuits are a pretty broad topic. Yes, very broad topic, but they are the military arm of the Catholic Church, and they are the every Protestant who believes in a what is it? A pre-trib rapture, as they put it. You believe in Jesuit propaganda. There's never a thing in the church before, and it doesn't exist. And if you think that, your Christianity is going to be way off, because Christianity means it necessitates suffering. Christ tells you this himself. In any case, Control Alt F. I don't have F keys, dude, on my keyboard. I don't know what Control Alt F is. This led to the demise of the Democrat to deplorable grift. Makes me feel like a life achievement for all the jobs that exist. Yeah. How the wheels have come off since the Sydney Exchange. No doubt, man. If you guys found this instructive, informative, if you liked it, just stopped to the show to say I love you. I gotta run. All right, Auntie. I'll catch you later, man. You got my number. You can just text me, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this. I didn't really do this to entertain, right? I did it because it's important. It's very important. And I'm not holding back forgiveness from Jack. With my hair down. Head bang. There we go. So couldn't headbang more because I banged my head into my mic. So, but yeah. Great stream. Do a part 2. Do a part 2, man. I think I did enough. There was plenty. Have you been here from the beginning? In any case, guys, I hope you haven't seen some of the stuff elsewhere. I hope you understand why I titled it the way that I did. I don't want to be unkind. I don't want to be mean to people. But sometimes you got to call them out. And I have liked Jack Murphy. I have liked the things that he's been saying. But it seems like Jack Murphy is just playing a role. And look, there's nothing wrong with him making money for his work. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with Jack Murphy becoming rich. But when he's sitting there saying he's turning these schools around, and I got an article saying, well, there's not evidence of that. Maybe they were. I don't know. But what I do know is that his grift has not been truthful, right? Like, my grift is pure truth. My grift is like, hey, I used to be a POS, and now I wouldn't have thought of myself that way, and most people would not either. But I'm comparing myself to a much higher standard today. I'm like, I used to be this. This is my background. This happened to me because I didn't have the proper developed masculinity when I was young, or leadership or whatever. And and part I do blame my father for that. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but he worked, my parents worked. When my sister and I were latchkey kids, basically. This was very common in the 80s and early 90s. And this was just how I grew up. And so I didn't have the proper tools. So when I talk about these things, this is why, because I don't want you guys to have to go through the pain and suffering that I did. I'm not going to go create some liminal order and be a guru to everybody either, though. Just not my style, man. My thing is I got an opinion, I got a perspective, take it or leave it. So again, Jack, if you want to come clean, if you want to apologize, I don't know about everybody else, but I will forgive you. But that must 100% be done. And you really, really have to recant all of the cancel culture nonsense. Anyways, guys, if you haven't, please like, share, subscribe, spread this around. Like I said, if you enjoyed this coverage, if you hadn't seen this elsewhere, help my channel grow. I really do want to grow. I'd like to get up to 1,000 subs. I'm not going to be super worried after that point, but if I continue to grow, then I probably will do the push for at least 10,000 or so. But my main thing is I just want to build a significant, a large enough audience that I have regular viewership. It's easier to get people on when you have a little bit of a sub count and some of a reputation, right? I don't have to be some big famous person. It's just about getting like-minded individuals into the sphere. And I think I offer a little bit of a niche perspective sometimes, right? I'm talking about things from a early church point of view. I talk about Christianity a lot. I'm looking at philosophy, and of course, my own life experiences. And I have a deep heart for men in this society today. And so I don't consider myself part of the manosphere stuff, but that's part of the stuff that I like to talk about, because what we live in is a weak, fractured society. We're frail in so many ways. We're ready to be broken and shattered apart. And that's why guys like Jack Murphy are able to come in and grift and make all of this even worse. So anyways, guys, with all that said, this has been AllMinusOne. My name is Bill, and I wish you all well.